Hey guys, welcome back to the Tone Show. I'm watching Severance on Apple TV, and I just started season 2, and I still have the same question. Why does everything look so old on the show? So in this video, I'm gonna go over some theories that I've put together of why I think everything looks so old. There's gonna be slight spoilers, obviously, because we're gonna be talking about this show in this video. Now, the first thing that I came up with is that it's all about control. Lumen is all about control. They literally they do this procedure on people's brains, and they want a complete separation from the outside world. So this whole aesthetic of everything looking old might be a way basically to freeze or like to capture these people's minds in the environment itself. Like they actually, aside from severing them from their memories, they're actually severing them from the modern day. They're containing them. And back in the day, things were much more simple. There was less forms of communication. So even the CRTs, which are like these big monitors that they work on, like there's no messaging apps on those, right? There's just basically that they work, that they do. So this might be a way of just limiting communication, creating physical boundaries aside from the hallways, which are like a maze on the show. So this might be a way just basically to just encapsulate that even more and keep them further focused on whatever they're trying to figure out in that building. I don't even know what they're doing, but I think it might be all about control when it comes down to it. My second theory is like maybe everything at Lumen is just basically stuck in time. They really worship Kier, Egan, and all the family, and they literally have like statues of them. Everything about Lumen is about serving Kier's vision, and it might be that when Kier died, like this was the point where everything was at as far as like technology. They never moved past that, so they not only want to follow Kier's ideas, actually want to follow his ideology and live in it. So the actual environment reflects it. So they want to preserve the golden era of Kier's time. So maybe that's why it looks so old, because they're basically preserving Kier's time and they can't move past that. Think of it like a bubble that they live in. Mark S., he lives in housing provided by Lumen. So the cookie cutter element that all the houses look, it's possible that's the reason the outside world also reflects this. It's also about control. In this particular vision, they're controlling everything to maintain the illusion Kier basically ideas are still alive. Okay, this one right here, I think is probably the one that I like the most. And because if you guys watch my channel, I really enjoy sci-fi. So I think that it's possible that everything looks so old because it's an alternate reality. They're living in another dimension, another world, another reality, even an alternate timeline. And in this timeline or reality, this would explain the fact that the sever procedure exists. The sever procedure itself looks pretty modern, right? It looks pretty advanced that they're able to actually split a person's thoughts from their work thoughts, from their private thoughts. So that's a pretty advanced procedure that you would think it would happen in the future. So it's possible that what we're living in is an alternate timeline on the show. And that's why everything in this alternate timeline, aesthetically, it didn't pass this particular time period. But the technology and everything is advanced. But certain things haven't advanced. And that would explain the flip phone that Mark found that Pete left behind. It would explain why they use tape recorders. So in this alternate timeline, they're actually still using old technology for certain things, but certain things advance. So I really like this one because, again, it's a sci-fi element of it, and I think it could be supported, again, by the technology that they're using to actually sever the individuals. It's pretty modern. So it might be a choice or an aesthetic that this timeline, and we would have to see outside basically Lumen, because they live in a town which is basically subsidized or provided by Lumen. So we would have to see other places to see if these places also look very old-timey. And if they do, they're living in an alternate planet, alternate timeline, or an alternate reality. Another theory, which I think is pretty cool, is that the reason that everything looks so old is because it's just a metaphor for the audience to understand that these characters are stuck in their personal lives. The reason that Mark S chose to get severed is because his wife died, and he wants to basically separate the pain from all those events, and he wants to go to work every day and just be free of these thoughts. So maybe it's all a big metaphor that the writers of the show are trying to convey to us, the audience, that the reason that everything looks so old is because they were never able to move forward. So not only are they mentally stuck inside their brains during the severance that happens during the day, but they're also like in an environment that reflects their inner state, which is basically stuck. They can't progress as people. And that's why I think the severance procedure works for Mark S to a certain point. So I feel like the aesthetic that they're portraying, all the buildings and the architecture, is to show us, the audience, that it's basically an Easter egg to us, that they're living in a stuck world and they're stuck inside also. So maybe it's just a big metaphor and it's an artistic choice. Now, this next theory, it kind of piggybacks off the old theories that we talk about control, but this one is really just control or messing with the audience. What if the reason everything looks so old is to create confusion in the audience. So they chose this aesthetic with the buildings, the hallways, the old monitors, the way that they dress, all this uniformity is to just confuse the audience and make it hard for us to place it in a specific place. And by not being able to place it in a specific place, like a real place, and ground it, we're forced to revolve all our thoughts and our ideas about the show, about what's happening on the show, the characters of the show. So it's a way to lock us in, kind of like the characters on the show are locked in because they're severed from their personal lives while they're working. This is a way to sever the audience because it severs us from the everyday world. So by choosing to make it look old timey, this is taking place in a very unique place, and us, the viewers, we can escape the modern world and roam these hallways with them. So I think it could just be messing with the audience. That's what the whole reason that the aesthetic, it's old, it's older. Everything from the old Volvo that he drives. My parents used to drive an old Volvo. That was like an 80s Volvo. We had a 79, so it's like an 80s model. The flip phones, they don't have iPhones. This all could be to basically separate us, the audience, from the modern world and give us an excuse, give us some escapism. So I think that's a pretty interesting one. I think that I like that one as much as the sci-fi one, that this is all just basically meant to separate us from everything else so we can actually focus on the show. So that's one of my theories. As always, guys, it's the Tone Show. Put it in the comments. Let me know which one of these theories you think makes the most sense. And putting your theories in the comments as well. I want to see what you guys think. Mention spoilers if it's going to be spoiling something, obviously, if somebody hasn't watched season 2. But yeah, I want to know what you guys think. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you guys think is happening, why everything looks so old, why are the cars old. And as always, guys, subscribe to the Tone Show for more Tone Show. Tone Show. Oh.